Hello and welcome to the news on the hour, as brought to you from the Anglican Cable Network Nigeria Television, ACNNTV. I am Rachel Egbunu. Peace ranged from the cessation of hostility between nations, the absence of civil or ecclesiastical disorder, and the freedom from dissension between individuals through positive situations in which an individual has prospered materially, health-wise, or possesses a tranquil freedom from mental or spiritual perturbation or condition where there is a minimum of noise or activity. This was the assertion of the Archbishop of Owerri Ecclesiastical Province and Bishop of Idiato Diocese Anglican Communion, His Grace the Most Reverend Caleb Maduoma, during his presidential charge to the third session of the Seventh Synod of the Diocese of Idiato, held at St. Paul's Anglican Church, Umuobom, Imo State, with the theme, "The Peace of the Lord be with you." According to the cleric, Nigerian and some parts of the world in recent times have been going through crisis, looking for peace where there is none, stressing that the peace of the Lord brings to mind all that Christ will do or had done through the cross and the resurrection to end the dominion of sin and to make peace between man and God. Archbishop Maduoma further stated that the world cannot achieve or provide peace because it cannot deal with the problem of sin, adding that it is only the peace of God that will help the world to overcome all its challenges. The former Bishop of Lagos Diocese Anglican Communion, the Most Reverend Ademowo, has said that the Diocese of Lagos is presently reaping the fruit of the labor that their fathers sowed some 100 years ago. He believed that the founding fathers of Lagos Diocese were diligent enough to have sown good seed in which their children reap today. The cleric made this state during an interview session with ACNN News correspondent Nwanne Ogechukwu in Lagos. The former bishop eulogized his successor, the Right Reverend Humphrey Olumakai, for his works in the diocese, adding that he is confident that the bishop can sustain the faith and pass it on the next generation.
The theme of the synod is very apt and appropriate at this time, in the sense that there are those who had labored before now, and we are reaping the fruits of their labor. The Diocese of Lagos is celebrating 100 years of her existence, and a lot of progress had been made. And the new bishop, the new diocesan bishop and missioner, the Right Reverend Dr. Humphrey Bamishebi Olumakaye, is a worthy successor, because he resumed end of July 2018, and between that time and now, he has done a lot.
He also called on Nigerians to desist from speaking negative of the country, but instead to continue to pray for the country and for all the leaders.
We keep on praying, and we know with God all things are possible. It's really, really tough, and the president cannot do everything at a go. We know God is with him, and he will sort it out. He will sort it out. Let's just give him more time and pray along. And we must not confess negatively for our country. We should know that beyond the tunnel there is light, there is hope, and there is a better tomorrow.
The Synod Secretary of the Diocese of Lagos Anglican Communion, the Venerable Segun Ladeide, has stated that the theme for the first session of the 34th Synod of the Diocese of Lagos, which is the unfailing faith of our fathers, ever sufficient, is apt and appropriate, considering a time like this when the diocese is marking her 100th year of existence. According to the Synod Secretary, the diocese had made meaningful progress this past 100 years and is also eager to make more progress. The Venerable Segun Ladeide made this statement while speaking in an interview with ACNN News correspondent Nwanne Ogechukwu in Lagos.
The theme of the synod, which is the faith of our Father ever sufficient, it's quite appropriate for a time like this, because as you must be aware that the first session of the 34th Synod is also the centenary synod of the diocese. So for a diocese that has existed for 100 years, it is time to look back and actually in projecting towards the future. And looking back, we had many things to celebrate. We had many ancient landmarks that we can point at. So we realized that we had a workable formula, and it is very important that we continue to subsist with this workable formula. And this is what has informed the theme of the synod, which is the faith of our fathers, sufficient still.
The clerical secretary called on the elderly ones in the country to endeavor to pass on true values of life to the younger ones, so that morals and values for life will be sustained.
The older generation are not passing on true values to the younger ones, and so we do not have what we believe on and what we are upholding as a nation. So, and over time, values and systems have changed. For instance, when I was growing up, every child was afraid to destroy the family name. But now, even the family will encourage you into corruption. As long as you make the money, nothing else matters. Money has eroded our values. And as a people, it's really so sad. I just pray that our younger people will realize that any nation that do not operate on a set standard and value is not likely to make any progress.
And on the national scene, Vice President Yemi Osibajo says the federal government will welcome collaboration with the Nigerian Stock Exchange in key aspects of the economy, including the ease of doing business and privatization of public enterprises, among others. Osibajo's spokesman, Laolu Akonde, in a statement in Abuja, said the vice president received a delegation from the NSE led by the chief executive officer, Mr. Oscar Onyama, on a courtesy visit at the presidential villa. The vice president said the proposed NSE collaboration with the federal government will enhance service delivery and improve transparency in public enterprises. Osibajo said the federal government will make efforts to further improve the ease of doing business and also key into any initiative that promotes innovation, transparency, and creativity. Onyema briefed the vice president on the proposed collaboration with the federal government in the operationalization of NSC's Innovation Hub and other initiatives of the federal government, to which the NSC was willing to support. President Muhammadu Buhari has nominated the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, for a second term. The letter for his tenure elongation was sent to the Senate on Wednesday and read during plenary on Thursday. Reacting to this, a former director of the Budgetary Department of the CBN, Dr. Titus Ogunromu, commended President Muhammadu Buhari for reappointing Mr. Godwin Emefiele as governor of the Apex Bank. He gave the recommendation in an interview with the newsmen at Ota in Ogun State, where he described Emefiele's reappointment as a decision in the right direction, saying that the reappointment will stabilize Nigeria's macroeconomic decisions. The former CBN director said that Emefiele had done well, noting that the country's inflation rate is drastically coming down, and said that it will be difficult to achieve monetary stability in a situation where the nation was running on deficit, noting that to have stabilized the monetary policies was a big achievement. Emefiele was first appointed by former President Goodluck Jonathan in 2014 and was retained after Buhari assumed office in 2015. It is the first time since 1999, when Nigeria returned to democracy, that anyone will be nominated to serve 2 terms as CBN governor. News on the hour will be right back after the short break. Stay with us.
Hello there. Have you ever wondered why Jesus spoke in parables? What do you make of the word parable? Do you find it hard interpreting parables on your own? Don't worry, we have answers to those questions on Parables. Parables is a program that brings to bear what parable means and how it affects our day-to-day lifestyles, the church, the individual, and the society at large. Join me, Nzubechi Frank, as we explore the significance and the innate meaning of each parable of Jesus Christ. Coming to you every Saturday, 1 to 1:30 p.m. with repeat broadcast on Sundays, 7 a.m., Tuesdays, 3:30 p.m. and Thursdays, 7 a.m. from the Anglican Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN. God bless you.
At the King's Court is a program where we worship and praise the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords through various musical renditions. So join me, Eukaria Ozovehe, at the King's Court every Tuesday by 6 p.m. on this station, and it promises to be exciting and rewarding.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned. For more on our top stories, please visit our website at acnntv.com or youtube.com/ACNNTV. To be up to date with our news and other programs, download the ACNN app for Android from Google Play Store. And now to the international news. Against the backdrop of the Anglican Church of Ontario, New Zealand and Polynesia's recent General Synod decision to permit the blessing of same-sex marriages and real unions, the new chairman GAFCON Primates Council and Primate Anglican Church of North America, Archbishop Foley Beach, has revealed what the GAFCON Primate Council decided on the matter. He made this revelation while speaking on a recorded program titled The Pastor's Heart.
We did a lot. First, we agreed to a new diocese, an ex-provincial diocese for New Zealand. The official church in New Zealand changed their marriage doctrine. And a number of folks said, wait a minute, this is no longer Christian teaching. And they weren't willing to change. And so they said, we can't be under leaders that are teaching this. So they appealed to us to offer help, and we have. So they've established the Constitution. We approved and gave our blessing. Approve is maybe not the right word. We gave our blessing for them to move forward. And so they're going to have a synod coming up in a few weeks where they will vote to accept their Constitution or not. And then the other piece of that is if they accept their Constitution, then they will vote to elect a new bishop. And the GAFCON primates agreed that we would support that bishop. We would be in full communion with the new diocese and the bishop himself. And we've even have a consecration date that we've agreed upon if they elect a bishop.
Meanwhile, the new GAFCON General Secretary Archbishop Benjamin Kwashi, during the interview, admired the decision of the GAFCON Primates Council took with regards to the issue and encouraged them to do more in proclaiming Christ faithfully to all nations.
This is where I think that the GAFCON primates have my great admiration, because they have a respect for the millions of people they lead. And they realize that if they made a wrong decision, the number of people that would perish because of their wrong decision is enormous. Now, the weight of that responsibility will not allow them to be flippant or careless about taking a stand. If at the end of the day we stood for the scriptures and we were proved wrong when Jesus appears, we can have a case. But knowing full well that Jesus died and rose, and that the power of salvation is real, and the testimony is beyond millions of lives who testify now in our generation to the living Jesus, how can we deny such a great salvation? And these primates consider that. And that's why they win my admiration tremendously.
The Anglican clergy also announced they were calling together a meeting of bishops of the Anglican Communion in June of 2020 in Kigali, Rwanda. To know more on this interview, please stay tuned to this station this Sunday and watch the full interview on The Pastor's Heart and be blessed. Over 100 young Londoners of different faiths had gathered in St. Paul's Cathedral Anglican Church to celebrate an interfaith iftar together with the Bishop of London, Right Reverend Sarah Mullally, and the Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. Following the initial celebration in St. Paul's, the group moved to join the Chief Rabbi and enjoy the iftar meal. The event, organized annually by the Nas Legacy Foundation, is held in a new religious setting in London each year. Traditionally, an iftar is the meal eaten by Muslims after sunset during Ramadan. This year's visit to St. Paul's marked the first time such an interfaith event had been held in the cathedral, highlighting ever-strengthening interfaith unity in London. During the event, the young attendees discussed ways to celebrate diversity and bring communities together. They spoke of the importance of understanding other people's traditions and the sense of empowerment brought about by attending such a gathering in St. Paul's. Speaking at the event, the Right Reverend and Right Honorable then Sarah Mullally, the Bishop of London Anglican Communion, said that there is no more important time than now for people of all backgrounds to come together to rejoice at what they have in common and also celebrate their differences. Asia Bibi, the Pakistani Christian woman who was accused of blasphemy, had finally been released. According to her lawyer, Saif Hall Maluk, Asia Bibi is now in Canada, where two of her daughters have already been granted asylum. The Christian woman was acquitted of blasphemy by the Pakistan Supreme Court last year, but has not been free to leave the country. Instead, she has to live in safe houses to escape extremists who continue to call for her to be killed. Asia was originally charged with blasphemy after sharing a cup of water with Muslim farm workers who called her unclean because she was a Christian. An NGO, Release International, has long been campaigning for Asia's freedom and the repeal of Pakistan's notorious blasphemy laws. They are now calling for Pakistan to review the cases of 200 other Christians behind bars for blasphemy. And now to sports news. A hat-trick from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and an Alexandre Lacazette strike booked Arsenal's place in the Europa League final with a 4-2 win at Valencia on Thursday to seal an emphatic 7-3 aggregate victory. In a week of improbable European comebacks, Valencia, trailing 3-1 from the first leg, were seeking to become the latest side to overturn a hefty deficit. Aubameyang notched his first of the night with a fine finish from outside the box from Lacazette's flick on. Valencia responded when Gameiro converted Rodrigo's mishit shot just before the hour to set up a possible grandstand finish. But Aubameyang soon restored Arsenal's lead before completing his treble 2 minutes from time to book their first European final since they lost the 2006 Champions League final to Barcelona. In the other semi-final match, Eden Hazard hit the winning penalty kick for Chelsea to beat Eintracht Frankfurt 4-3 in a shootout on Thursday to reach the Europa League final. The lively semi-final contest had finished 1-1 after the sides had produced the same scoreline in Frankfurt a week earlier. Chelsea will now meet fellow Londoners Arsenal in the final in Baku, Azerbaijan on May 29. That's it on the news on the hour. Thanks for watching. I am Rachel Egbunu.